following KBLA Talk 1580 on all of our socials, then you're missing out. Download our app and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at KBLA 1580.
That's right.
Again, you can find all of our socials at KBLA 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
By the way, if you miss any of our weekday shows in real time, you can always catch up by checking out the podcast of your favorite shows at your leisure. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Got your black.
Following the leader.
Oh my God.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting for movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time my best align.
You are listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, your host and chief White House correspondent. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ. And there I pop up fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are, fresh for your ears. And for your soul, just go ahead and subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast powered by KBLA Talk 1580. That way you'll never, ever, ever miss an episode. Now, just a quick community announcement. This week, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass opened a one-stop shop permitting office where residents can go for their rebuilding needs. City departments will also open new impacted worker and family recovery centers to offer assistance to Angelinos whose employment was impacted by the wildfires. And so if you or someone you know has been impacted by the fires, just go ahead and visit lacity.gov for resources, information, and assistance. I'm hearing, good things on the ground from folks who are looking to access resources sort of quickly. Folks are saying that this navigation system that they have going on in LA is working well for them. And so keep us posted, because if something's not working well, then we have no problem speaking truth to power. And so be sure to inform us of that. Now, it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. You decide. Kicking us off, the LA Times is reporting that California lawmakers are proposing banning sales from dog brokers in a crackdown on the puppy pipeline. Who knew there was a puppy pipeline? I didn't know. Maybe you knew. California lawmakers announced not one, not two, but three bills. Three bills to crack down on the sale of puppies from out-of-state mass breeders, proposing to ban popular pet-selling websites and other middlemen from operating in the state, increasing oversight of dog sellers and strengthening consumer protections. The move comes after the LA Times investigation last year that found that truckloads of doodles, French bulldogs, and other expensive dogs for profit driven mass breeders, they pour into the state from the Midwest, feeding an underground market where they're resold by people claiming to be small local home breeders. Who knew? I mean, now when I see a little doodle or bulldog, walking down the street, I may think twice about how they got there. California had previously sought to end the puppy mill pipeline when it became the first state in the nation to ban pet stores from selling commercially bred dogs beginning in 2019. The law, however, did not apply to online pet sales, which grew rapidly during the COVID-19 pandemic. And so Assemblymember Mark Berman of Menlo Park, California, he said that his bill would close the loophole in California's pet retail ban by prohibiting brokers from selling or shipping dogs to consumers in the state. This is Assembly Bill 519. It defines a broker as any person or business that sells or transports a dog bred by someone else. That would include major national pet retailers such as Puppy Spot and Premier Pups, as well as California-based operations that market themselves as pet matchmakers. Puppy Spot and Premier Pups haven't responded to a request for comment, but this is serious business. And this legislation is matching that energy. In other news, the Office on Violence Against Women has removed federal funding opportunities. The 19th news.org is reporting that the Department of Justice Office on Violence Against Women has removed from its website all information on current funding opportunities and directs visitors not to finalize any applications. This adds to the fear of nonprofits that work to help victims of gender-based violence that a major funding source may just dry up. It is unclear whether this pause is temporary, but the Office of Violence Against Women did not return a request for comment as of this past Friday. And just last week, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention took parts of its website down for several days to check for compliance with President Trump's executive orders. Users looking for information about funding from the Office of Violence Against Women are directed to the homepage, which on Friday showed a message to grantees saying that a funding freeze announced on January 27th by the Office of Management and Budget was not in effect due to a judge restraining order, but OMB had directed agencies to pause funds pending a review of their compatibility with executive orders related to immigration, illegal DEI, and woke gender ideology. And so, this is, a part of that chilling effect. While there are attempts to sort this thing out in the courts, nobody wants to be an outlier. And so essentially, folks are in a holding pattern. And while folks are in this holding pattern, lives still go on. There are still needs out there that are going unfulfilled. And we're not even a full month into the new presidency. Finally, speaking of DEI, Pete Hegseth was booed and heckled in Germany by military families protesting this anti-DEI push. NBC News is reporting that military families protesting the Defense Department's anti-DEI push heckled Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on his arrival at the U.S. European Command headquarters in Germany today. On the visit to the U.S. military's key European military hub, he was booed by around 24 people who live at the base in an apparent demonstration against the policies being implemented by the Trump administration. The demonstrators at the short protest repeatedly chanted DEI, apparently in reference to Hegseth's recent ban on some books in Defense Department schools. Hegseth last week ordered the restriction of learning materials covering subjects that included psychology and immigration in the Defense Department schools. And so you don't hear stories of folks in Germany protesting DEI against the sitting United States Defense Secretary. You don't hear stories like that every day. I don't remember hearing one story like that when Lloyd Austin was our defense secretary, but here we are. Switching gears, when we come forward, I'm really looking forward to welcoming actor Galen J. Williams. We're going to be talking about his new movie, his Maya Angelou impersonations, his skills as an acting coach, and maybe, just maybe, we can get him to recite a little something for us. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Galen J. Williams when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Wow, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One and member FDIC.
Sometimes we lose, sometimes we win. Sometimes we try to fit it all in. Sometimes we don't know what's in store. Sometimes we find what we're looking for. Sometimes we're rolling easy and free. Sometimes 1 and 1 makes 3. So much to love along this ride. That's why Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and Affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests. As we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I am really excited to switch gears and to welcome Galen J. Williams to the show.
Hey.
Hey, Galen.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you just fine. Welcome. This is your first appearance on A More Perfect Union.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. You are a man in demand at the moment. For folks who don't know, you play the character of Wayne, is it? Wayne in the new movie, One of These Days, co-starring Keke Palmer and SZA?
Yes.
Well, so first things first, let's just start with the Super Bowl performance, right? You were in the movie right now with SZA. SZA had a cameo that was so incredibly memorable in Kendrick Lamar's most watched Super Bowl performance in the history of Super Bowl performances. What's your take? What did you think of that moment on stage with Kendrick?
Kendrick just makes me proud to be melanated. Kendrick makes me proud to be a creative. He makes me proud to be an artist. I honestly thought that was probably one of the most prolific Super Bowl performances that we've seen. I think, that it was powerful. I think that it was I think that it was audacious. And I mean, SZA came, she showed up, she was in good voice. It was 10s across the board for me, from, layout to choreography, staging, camera blocking, everything about it was incredible. And of course, like just the symbolism and everything that Kendrick puts into his performances. He's always so well thought out and executed so well. And those jeans look so good on your boy. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was just, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was incredible.
Let me tell you, those mom jeans are flying off the shelf.
Yes, bring back the flare jeans, the flare bottoms. He's got them back.
I was in the gym earlier today. I think I did a little extra set just to make sure that my
to make sure the thighs are thighin',
yeah. I thought it was very memorable. And there are some people out there that say, I don't get it. And there are people out there that didn't like the Super Bowl performance.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to think that if you are a Kendrick Lamar fan, if you are familiar with his body of work, then I think it was a lot easier to sort of rock with it because you understood the background, you understood the art. You weren't experiencing it for the first time.
Right.
But what's your take? Do you for the people out there that either don't get it or didn't like it, what's your take on it?
One of the beautiful things about art is that it is subjective. I do think that there are objective qualities to a subjective form like art. However, for the people that don't get it, I think that for one, it just takes incredible courage to make a statement with your art. And sometimes, I think sometimes consumers just like to be spoon-fed everything. And I actually think that great art is going to make you think. Great art, you have to look. You sort of got to, think outside of the box. And especially, like you said, if you're a fan of Kendrick, even if you aren't a fan of Kendrick, you can recognize that everything that he does is methodic. Everything he does has intention, and he, puts a lot of thought into it. And I think that sometimes we have to open up our minds, and look a little bit deeper than what's just there on the surface. I think, it doesn't have to be for everybody. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but the way I said it was like, if you get it, you get it. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you don't. And I think that if you don't, it will be in your best interest to try to get it, or to look at all the think pieces that are out there, because they are out there, mm-hmm. and that lay it out for you just clear as day what his intentions were in making this choice and that choice. And it's just, and I think that the Super Bowl stage is such a huge stage to make such a bold statement at such a time that we're in now, with all the, with the administration that we're under, with all of the days in the life that we're all having and experiencing. So for Kendrick to have taken up space in that way, I just think was inspiring. And I think that, those who it wasn't for, those who didn't get it, or whose head it went over, I wish them the best. I wish them the best. And I'm praying for their growth and evolution,
Well, you and me both. Just as you were laying that out, I was thinking about being introduced to Toni Morrison back when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And I remember, we read a number of Toni Morrison books, including Sula, but it was Beloved that really gripped me. Beloved had me in the chokehold for a minute, right? Mm-hmm. Because it was so layered, and because of the rigor that was required in order to really sort of delve through the layers that Toni Morrison had created. And so very much in that spirit, I feel like Kendrick is that kind of artist where, you may look at something on the surface, but if you dig beneath the surface just a little bit, and then a little bit more and a little bit more, you may be surprised, what you discover about yourself and about his critique on the world around us.
Yep. And the role that you play within it or outside of it, Yeah.
That's right. And so talk to us about this new movie that you're in. There's a lot of buzz about it. Yes. It's called One of These Days.
Yes.
And, you got the two big co-stars, Keke Palmer and SZA.
Yeah.
But there you are playing Wayne in one of these days. How did that happen?
Yeah, so one of them days currently, I think still currently, maybe the #1 movie in America.
Gentle flex.
But no, so one of them days is my first feature. It's my first movie, my first major film, major studio film. I'm incredibly excited about it, incredibly lucky to have been a part of it. I'll just sort of rewind a bit. So, of course, I have representation. I have a manager. I have an agent. This audition came across as we like to say, came across my desk. The audition came across me, and it was actually at a really crazy time in my life. Like my dad had just passed. I was between like preparing for, figuring out his funeral plans with my siblings and like preparing for a move back to Los Angeles because I was in Atlanta at the time. But yeah, I self-taped for it, and it's a quick but I think impactful moment in the movie. I'm one of Kiki's neighbors, or Drew's neighbors. But yeah, the movie is about two best friends who find themselves in a rut, and they have a small amount of time to make a big amount of money, and all of the shenanigans that ensue within it, and my part in it, I feel like I sort of plant the threat of the villain in the story, if you will, without giving too much away for those who still haven't seen it. But it's incredible. It's hilarious. I'm incredibly proud of it. I think that this is like SZA's breakout moment, and so many people are surprised at how much of a natural she is on screen. Kiki Keep a Bag Palmer, it's like not only is she the star of this film, but she's also like producing on it, and Issa Rae. Like, it's just a lot of dreams came true for me within this production, and these are people who I've always wanted to work alongside, people who I've been inspired by creatively, and people whose careers, give me sort of like a compass to follow, if you will. So I had a great time on set. I had a few days, like one in the beginning and a few towards the end. It was shot in like 3 weeks, so it moved really, really quick. And I feel like I learned so much just from being on my first set. So it was something that I'm, like I said, incredibly proud of, and I hope everybody gets out to see it. It's now actually available digitally, so you can see it at home now. I believe it's on Apple TV, it's on Prime, and I think the digital rollout is still happening, so some more streaming services will catch on to it as well. But yeah, it's hilarious. It's great.
That's incredible. And so, what about the storyline could you relate to? Because, as you were describing, and I'm thinking about, some of my best friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some of the shenanigans that we've gotten ourselves in over the years.
Yes.
But, it's something about being able to share your life with your best friend, whether you're sharing, memes from social, or, flooding their DMs with, the latest post that's making you laugh. I mean, life's always better with our besties. Life's always better when you can share it with somebody, but particularly our besties. And so in that regard, how did your relationship with your best friends help you prepare for this role?
I love that question. I think that friendship in general, and then the subcategory of like best friendship, right? I think that it is a driving force in our everyday life. We need that one person who we can be candid with, who we can laugh with, who we can cry with, who we can have serious conversation with. And to know that was like at the center of this story was a huge like hook in for me. And even my role, and like, I feel like there's a character on my shirt who passed away in the movie, and we are, ironically enough, we actually went to Howard together. So that was like a wink from the universe, if you will, of like, even before you knew it, you had a connection, a personal connection to this project. And so for me, I think that best friendship and I relate to it, and just having that ride or die, just having somebody who's going to be there who says yes to whatever needs to be done to get you what you need, because that's what they're doing in this movie. It's like, all right, we got to get this money. So what we doing? How we do? What you need? We going here. All right, cool. We going there. We beating that person up. Okay, we gonna try to beat that person up. So it's just that ride or die. That anything you need, I got you. That is incredibly important, and I'm honored and glad to have that in the best friends that I do have.
Well, it's great to hear how your best friends helped you to really not just prepare, but really show up for this role.
Yeah.
But when we come forward, I want to talk to you about how Dr. Maya Angelou has fueled your rise.
Yes.
and we might even be able to get you to share just a little bit of one of your Maya Angelou impersonations, because this is how I first learned about you. I was just before bed, like so many of us, scrolling through IG, and discovered one of your many posts where you very honorably imitate the voice of Dr. Maya Angelou, and I think it is one of the coolest things on the internet. Maybe Galen J. Williams will give us a little bit of a taste when we come forward. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte, and he is Galen J. Williams. He plays the character of Wayne in the hit new film One of These Days, co-starring Keke Palmer and SZA. And if this face, go ahead, do the hands again. There we go. If this face looks a little familiar, it might be because Galen J. Williams has almost broke the internet with his impersonations in love. And when we say impersonations, sometimes people feel some kind of way. And so these are good impersonations.
Yes.
These are honorable impersonations of Dr. Maya Angelou.
Yes.
And that's where I first discovered you. I was up late and I was scrolling through IG and I stumbled upon a post or two of you impersonating the voice of Dr. Maya Angelou.
Yes.
And then I went to your page and I went through like a dozen of your posts. You are so talented and so funny.
Thank you.
So talk to us about how did that even happen? I mean, how did you discover that you had this talent for impersonating the voice of all people, Dr. Maya Angelou?
Okay, so I'll picture it. 2016, right? So this was around Beyonce was doing, this was like Formation World Tour. A lot of inspirational things that I do, you'll find about me is derived from Beyonce. But it was Formation time, and I think I just saw the concert, and she had like this boycott Beyonce merchandise. And so I was heavily on Snapchat at the time, and they had like this old woman filter, like you can like change your face or whatever. And for some odd reason, when I put this filter on my face, I was like, I look like Maya Angelou. And so I came up with like this poem. I freestyle this poem called like Lemonade. Let me see. I think I might still remember it, but it was like, I was served lemons, and so I made lemonade. To all of my haters throwing me shade, it's my hate that's getting me paid, or something like that. And so it was I posted it on Snapchat. This was way before I had like any sort of real any sort of big following or anything like that. And then fast forward to Renaissance coming out, there was another video that was going around, another like viral video. And if anything, I think I've learned the key to going viral is like hop into what's already viral. So this clip was going around of like Maya, and it was like a voiceover of like Maya Angelou saying this speech to all these celebrities, and all these celebrities like listening to her in the crowd and whatnot. But she was reciting the lyrics of Alien Superstar, and I was like, this is incredible. This is iconic. This is genius. I want to throw my hat in the ring. I want to try this out. And so I hadn't done the impersonation in years. That was 2016. Renaissance came out 2020, 2021. So this was years that it had happened.
Are you serious?
I had not touched that impersonation, that dialect, the accent, whatever you want to call it. I hadn't done it in all those years, but I found a picture of her. I did my little green screen and said, "I'm one of one. I'm number one. I'm the only one." And that was my first time ever going viral, and I was like, oh wow, the people are into this, they enjoy this, it's very niche, and also too, like there are other people who have Maya Angelou impersonation content as well that people send me all the time, and like I think everybody is great. I think everybody's is funny. It's all in homage to and honoring the very distinctive voice that is Maya Angelou. And yeah, once I think me just being an actor and like me wanting to not just do it for shiggles, but like really wanted to do it some justice. So I started to listen to her interviews more. I started to like, really listen and get into the way that like she speaks and her intonation and things like that. And I just sort of tried to experiment with finding it within me. And, I think it fluctuates and ebbs and flows. There are some that are really on it. And then there's some that it's like, I could probably do that over again, you know, but but yeah, it's been an incredible gift that keeps on giving, to know that like so many people find joy and laughter in this. And, you know, it kind of feels like a personal blessing from her, if you will, that like it's gotten as much attention and eyes on it as it has.
And that's what I love so much about it. It's a really cool and unique way of keeping the spirit of Dr. Maya Angelou alive, right?
Yes.
You know, she definitely seemed like she had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
She definitely liked connecting with young people, and your work is definitely allowing that to happen. Talk to us a little bit about your personal journey. I mean, it's not everyone who becomes an internet sensation doing impersonations of Dr. Maya Angelou, and you know, you've gone on to now be in your first feature film. You did the big move from Atlanta to LA, but talk to us a little bit about your roots, you know, your foundation. You know, what inspired you to pursue a career in art?
So I am originally from Atlanta, born and raised, and I have an older brother. His name is Eric. He also is an artist. He's 3 years older than me. Essentially, my whole life, I've kind of copied after, you know, been his copycat. And but specifically when he was in high school, his freshman year, Tri-Cities High School, which is in East Point, Georgia. It's a well-known performing arts high school out of Atlanta. They did a production of Once on This Island, and I at the time was like I was in middle school, 6th grade, and there was something about that performance that just really inspired me. And I think there was something about him doing it that made it feel possible for me. And so I credit a lot of the reason of what I'm doing to him. And also beyond high school, he and I both went to Howard University, and Howard, we majored in theater there. And, you know, the incredible rich legacy that is Howard University, from Felicia Rashad, Taraji P. Henson, Debbie Allen, so many great Black icons within arts and entertainment came from Howard University. And I feel like that legacy is something that I carry along with me. I loved my time at Howard, and I feel like the connections and the network that I made there are the things that anchor me and ground me in everything that I do, you know. So it's been a great lots of ups and downs on this journey, I tell you, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, I'm living a life that is driven by my passions and driven by the things that I love to do, and bringing people joy, as well as just giving myself opportunities to tell stories and to lean into characters and things that are important to me and that matter to me. You know, I just feel incredibly lucky and blessed, and I can't wait to see what else is in store for me, you know.
I want to ask you, as a Howard Bison, what advice you would offer to some of the baby Bisons that are in school in a time that's very different than when you were in school at Howard. Here in Washington, D.C., you know, who sits in the White House, who controls Congress, it impacts the atmosphere, right? Yeah. It doesn't make up everything that DC is about, but it can overpower the atmosphere. And so, you know, what's your message to some of the baby Bisons out there who are concerned that maybe they may not be able to lean into the kind of artistic expression that they have on their heart and in their spirit, because it may be at odds with, you know, leaders in government, so-called leaders in government that, you know, are challenging, you know, anything that is affirmative. It feels like anything that is affirmative, of our people, of our culture. What's your advice to them?
I love that question. I think my advice would be authenticity is going to be the key to any and every door. I think that as long as you are remaining authentically yourself and remaining true to what it is you feel your purpose is, and true to the things that spark your inner flame, nothing and no one will ever be able to deny that. Nothing and no one will ever be able to stop that from doing what you were set here and put here to do. And in the times where it feels tough to show up authentically, I think that we we do ourselves and others around us a disservice to show up as anything otherwise, So I would just encourage them to, at all times, be themselves and to always be on the journey of finding out more and getting to know themselves more and learning more about who they are and what they're put here to do,
In our remaining minute, in your Maya Angelou voice, what's next for you? What's coming up next, and how can people follow you?
Yes. If you would like to follow the voice of Dr. Maya Angelou, as you see my name spelled here, it is at the THEE Galen J Williams on the Instagram and the TikTok. I'm not on Twitter, but those are my socials. You can follow me there. But I can't say what show yet, but there is a very popular TV show that I have a couple of episodes in that's going to be coming to the TVs in the fall. I'm really excited about that. Just I would say follow me if you would like to find out more about what that show will be and the time that I, when it comes out, that's when I can share it. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that, as well as whatever the universe God has in store for me.
Our thanks to Galen J Williams. Run, Don't Walk to check out One of These Days.
One of them days. Yeah.
One of them days.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. One of them days.
No worries.
Be sure to go check that out. Apparently, it's on Apple TV. It's on Prime. It's out there. It co-stars Keke Palmer and SZA. And I have no doubt, Galen, that your star is rising. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for being a guest here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Come back again anytime.
Absolutely. I can't wait for the next time.
All right. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. The quiet part out loud when we come forward.
This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number and put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down.
get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. It's about that time for the quiet part out loud. You should know that Disney is the latest company to soften their diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts with Trump back in office. Just while we've been on air, the LA Times is reporting that the Walt Disney Company is changing some of its internal diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. This is the latest move in the company's slow pullback from such efforts. The Burbank media and entertainment giant will replace the diversity and inclusion performance factor for executive compensation planning with a, quotes, talent strategies standard, according to a memo that was sent today to executive leaders by the chief human resource officer and obtained by folks over at the LA Times. The change relates to the formula used to calculate executive pay. The company remains committed to fostering a company culture where everyone belongs. That's what the memo said, but this means they're calculating executive compensation a little bit differently, right? And we know that incentives matter, and so you may call it something else, but is it still diversity, equity, and inclusion? Is that still a factor? We know that other corporations outside the entertainment industry have also pulled back on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, which emerged as a hot topic during Donald Trump's presidential campaign. And since President Trump's inauguration, retailers such as Target and Walmart and Lowe's have all announced that they will end or cut back on diversity initiatives, many of which were put in place just a few years ago. Now, back to Disney's new talent strategies performance factor. It's going to grade how executives uphold company values and incorporate different perspectives to drive business success, to create an environment where employees can do their best work and sustain a robust pipeline to ensure long-term organizational growth. That's what it says in the document. It will be used in conjunction with other existing performance standards, including synergy and storytelling and creativity. I mean, my goodness, it seems like they're twisting themselves like a pretzel to not say anything related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. There are folks that say that in the memo that the change was in line with a planned evolution of Disney's strategic framework to make the company the best place to work. That framework was released in December and is intended to align Disney's initiatives with its business goals and company values. Whew. And so they got Disney too. But don't you worry, because there are lots of people that are monitoring these sorts of changes in position very, very, very closely. One such group is HIT Strategies. They're a millennial and ethnic minority-focused public opinion research firm based in Washington, D.C. HIT Strategies specializes in polling and developing messaging for controversial left-of-center issues, most notably critical race theory and the defund police movement. They've launched what they're calling influencewatch.org. You can contact Influence Watch with suggested tips on folks that they may want to profile, folks that they may want to focus on. But, you should know that, we've got to take the long view on this work. We got to take the long view on it. And it may get a whole lot worse before it gets better. We know that Slate.com is reporting that Pam Bondi, the new Attorney General, has instructed Trump's Department of Justice to criminally investigate companies that do DEI. Just last week, the newly installed Attorney General sent staff in several divisions of the Department of Justice more than a dozen memos within a 15-minute span, laying out the agency's new policies on issues ranging from reviving the death penalty to targeting sanctuary cities to enforcing a strict return to office policy. But one astonishing memo seen by Slate puts the DOJ at the center of President Trump's widespread efforts to destroy any traces of initiatives that would create inclusive and diverse workspaces, otherwise known as diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. The new memo claims that it will target private sector diversity, equity, and inclusion and accessibility initiatives for potential criminal investigations. And so, just a little food for thought. Companies like Disney, who have a pretty widely celebrated track record when it comes to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, are they making this change to align with their new framework because that's really the case? Or are they really just not trying to catch a case from this new Trump Department of Justice, this new Attorney General Pam Bondi? The fact that you have the Department of Justice that, is very clear that they intend to go after companies and people in the private sector that support diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility initiatives. They're about to go after them for potential criminal investigations. This is a sign of how far we have regressed less than a month after the transition in power. And so as we consider how we will govern ourselves in terms of what products and services we will buy, what products and services we might boycott, I submit this to you as food for thought. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village that helps us produce a more perfect union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Andy, our show producers, Kim and Faraji, and of course, each and every one of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us today. And remember, don't panic, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.